Hi, everyone. I'm back here, Courtney, with Hot Flash Health's podcast series. I have a special guest with me today, somebody who I've been working with for the last probably year and a half, but I feel like I've known her for life. And
I know.
Yeah, not only one of my doctors, but also a really good friend of mine. And I just want to say thank you to Julie. See, I knew I was going to do this.
That's
I was
right.
going to be embarrassed and say her name wrong, but Julie Marchiol.
Ooh!
We're both Italian. I married
Yes.
into it. She is one true and true. So I give her props for knowing how to somehow say my name. Sometimes it's hard.
Sometimes I messed up.
I see. You have to say it with hands.
That's right.
Miracle. But she has an amazing company here in Denver all about integrative health and wellness called Ascent Health Center. Okay, just making sure.
Yes.
Because we'll go into how to reach her later, but I know your Instagram is a little different. We were just talking about that, how to find her. But really, the Hot Flash podcast is all about educating, empowering women who are going through this lovely journey called menopause. And I think we're all in different ways of where we are in our world of menopause. I think I'm kind of hitting the perimenopause. I'm 46 in a couple months. So I think we've talked a lot about this as hormone changes, and I'm getting the hot flash at night sometimes. I don't know if it's alcohol related or stress related or just whatever related. But I'm sure we can dig into a lot of these symptoms. She has an amazing facility that I just go in and spend 2 hours and
I love it.
Never want to leave. And she's done a lot for my overall health and wellness. Again, we've talked about my journey with losing parents and dealing with a growing child and the stresses of work. And I feel like every time I go in and see her, she's like, how's your stress level, Court? 12.
And you've helped me create a great community.
Oh, yes. We have grown together. So I cannot say enough about her business. And I know a slew of my friends go to see her. And
I appreciate it.
Yes.
It's fun.
You've changed their life. So enough about me and Hot Flash Health, but let's talk a little bit about your business and how you started and why you were approaching health in a whole new way.
It's been interesting because ever since I was in high school, this was my journey.
Okay.
So it's the funniest thing. I remember, so there were no protein bars 35 or more years ago.
I mean, even 15, there was some, but they were disgusting, right?
Right.
They've come a long way.
And I remember before basketball games, I had this book. And I would make my own protein bars for basketball games.
Look at this overachiever.
So I've always been a geek. Always been a geek.
It's paying off now.
It's paying off. But I just always loved it.
Yeah.
And what I've seen in my practice is that as I have aged, in a certain way, so is my practice. Mm-hmm. So I had moms when I was a young mom. And then I had our young athletes when my daughter was a young athlete. And now I feel like the niches really are 35 to almost 65, which seems like a broad range, but hormones are changing that whole time for all of us.
Yeah.
And so it's really fun. And the approach is very integrative, which is what I like the most about it. And so, sure, we can use hormones. We can address hot flashes by just filling gaps. But the real idea is address the whole endocrine system so we can tolerate the stressors of the environment without always having to plug in a new medicine.
Yeah. And I would say that's, again, I was referred to her as well by another customer of hers and a dear friend of mine. And a lot of the things I was struggling with was weight gain from, I think, COVID and stress and loss and grief. But what tied into that a lot, which we've been working on, is gut health, right? So I think everything that we're dealing with, and that's why everyone is seeing so much change around the way we eat and how we.
Right.
So tell me a little bit about how you're seeing health and the discussions and what's changing. Is it all around gut? Is it all around hormones? Is it just this integrated approach of
where's it coming in?
Yeah, putting together pieces.
Well, I think we should clink first.
Oh yes,
let's
please.
clink.
I mean, it's not a podcast without a cocktail.
So I think what I see, and you scroll through Instagram, and all I see is a bunch of no's. First, it's don't eat beans. Mm-hmm. Then it's, oh my gosh, I think I heard don't eat broccoli. Then it was, it's a bunch of don't eats. Mm-hmm. And it has to be for longevity about balance. And so, yes, we have to sometimes kill bugs, and there are bugs, or we have to measure them even.
I have my fair share of bugs. I don't want to talk about the bugs.
Butt bugs or gut bugs?
Workout bugs. They're in there, and it's not the tequila worm, okay?
I think of it like a garden. If you have this great dirt which is all that microbiome stuff. Then you can have a few weeds, but the good dirt still lets all the plants or vegetables or flowers grow.
Yeah.
But if you have bad dirt, then you just never get a good harvest. And so, yes, killing or eliminating bugs is important, but how do you create an environment that allows itself to continually heal and adapt?
Sure.
To maybe you travel a ton.
Oh, I do travel, yes.
So you're eating different foods in different countries.
Yes.
So those are all different microbiomes. So all of those countries, because of the foods they pick, really those people have developed it. In a way, you're more well-rounded than most of us. There you go.
Winning. Hashtag winning.
Winning. Because you're getting all of this and your body's having to learn tolerance and adaptability.
Yeah.
And when we eat no beans, no this, no that, that just creates a system of weakness.
I was going to say probably failure, because nobody wants to not eat nothing for the rest of their life, right?
Yeah.
And what I've learned to love about your process, and maybe we can talk a little bit about this, but you were trained in chiropractic and then got all of the, degrees, like her, title is a million letters, which are uber important. I only have one. Queen-ager.
That's the only one that matters.
But I loved how I went to see her. We did a bunch of blood work, and every time, not like every time, but most of the times I go in there, she does muscle testing, which I had never heard about. And, adjusts me, and we kind of talk in depth about my health and what's going on. And it's, again, what we talked about in the beginning, this integrative approach, because it's not like you see a doctor who kind of says, all right, you have like heartburn, we're going to prescribe you like
omeprazole or whatever the drug is. Yeah.
Like, I see her because I need a partner trying to navigate like what I'm doing in life. And it's really hard for us, right? We're like dealing with mood swings and kids and
your travel, your work.
I mean, at life, like, obviously I'm not going to talk about my problems because we all have problems, but like we deal with life. And I just feel like what you said is you can't just have somebody who's like, okay, I'm going to look at your nutrition. If you cut this out, you're going to be healed, because that's not, it's like an ongoing thing, an ongoing journey. So, I am really interested in like how you got into muscle testing and maybe talking a little bit about this. And I know, it's obviously not specific to menopause, but it is important to all of us, and like looking at how our nutrition plays into like our overall health and our wellness and spirituality and all of the above. And I have so many questions, but we'll just start there. Like, how do you kind of take a new client and how do you approach them with saying like, let's do your blood work? Like, let's kind of dig into the root of like how you address that. Me.
So I think I've been very fortunate, and I've had wonderful mentors that have provided me with a lot of knowledge that then, one of my mentors said, you do someone else's dance until you learn to do your own. And so you gain knowledge from all these other places, and then you kind of create this system. Well, for me, I started in this type of medicine as an applied kinesiologist. So it's actually a system that gets overlooked now because you can take applied kinesiology and people think it's just muscle testing. But the best way to explain it is you could have 3 patients walking with a headache, and it's the same headache. They're describing it the same way. And one patient will need a chiropractic adjustment. One patient will need nutritional support or to detox. And one patient will have emotional stress.
As I'm drinking. Don't talk about detoxing.
It is detoxing. This kills bugs.
See? I knew that.
Kills bugs. Balance.
Cheer. Balance. Everything in balance. Okay, sorry to interrupt you.
No worries. So applied kinesiology looks at structural, organ systems and chemical, and then emotional. And that's really what the body is. And so if we aren't addressing it in all those ways, then we're just missing some piece. And so some days when someone comes in, the emotional stress is causing a backache.
Yeah.
Or sometimes they went for a run or did a crazy workout and have a backache. And sometimes, believe it or not, like gut health relates to backaches. So that's how when someone walks in, I'm always thinking about that triad. And I feel like that triad then opens that world up to
what's
What-
inside, like
what's
what you're digging
inside.
into. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it's, again, like I think there's a lot of people, and I don't think you're one of those people who looks at like Western medicine, and I don't even know if we call it like Eastern medicine or if it's more like integrative health and wellness. I don't know what the terminology is now, but I don't think you're somebody who's like, don't go to, Western
Right.
medicine if you're like literally having some struggles. Like that's still an avenue for
Yes.
you. But I do love that more people are looking into practices and practicing things that really address like what's going on inside. And once you tap into that, I think, well, for me, I think mind over matter in a lot of cases, like our brains are super powerful that
Right.
we don't use them enough. So I don't know. I'm a big fan in kind of both medicine
Arenas.
paths. Yeah. Like you have to, right? Like,
And I think if we partnered better, we would have healthier people.
True.
Like I always, there's nothing like a surgeon. If a patient needs
especially
a
if he's
surgeon,
hot.
and if you're out there, I'm
She's
single.
I got that on set. Go for Julie. She's great.
We can't do a surgery. That's not our. But what I wish that we did was, I see so many post-surgical patients for whatever, it's orthopedic or if it's gastrointestinal or vaginal, and they almost find me by referral or on their own. And what would be great is if we had this strong relationship of they are masterful geniuses, but that is it. Right? And that's what they should do because they're experts. And then I wish they would be, and we have a lot of doctors that refer to us, medical doctors. So we build great relationships. But it would be great if it was stronger because it'd be like, hey, I totally fixed this. And now we need to integrate the healing.
Yeah.
And that's where I really feel if we could move that into the future, oh my gosh, the healthcare that we could provide for individuals as the cost of healthcare is going up would be amazing.
It's healthcare in general. I don't know if I'm going to get into all of the healthcare battle because, like, I'm not an expert, but I just know with dealing again with my mother who went to hospice and like trying to fight to get those bills, and I have another friend who. Anyways, the list of friends, it's a lot, and it's a lot to navigate. And I think we just realize more and more every day, like how unfortunate it is that we're not more of a community of people in the medical field to help each other. So some of the things that we're going to address in this podcast, and obviously why Julie's here, is we have kind of 5 pillars of how we are looking at the menopause journey and how women are going through these. And, maybe there's going to be more that pop up, but kind of our 5 top ones that come to mind are mental, because, we're going through these changes and we have to think about things and mood swings, call Courtney, because I seem to be having them. Probably with this is hormones, right?
Right.
And there's a ton of advances in how we're approaching this, and you and I just started breaching the topic of hormones, just in hormone therapy and what's going on there. And I feel like you're an expert in all these sexuality,
thank you.
sexual. I mean, where's our libido these days, right? Like, hello,
come back.
Physical and spiritual. So I think those are our 5 top pillars. And with that, I feel like you're kind of an expert and, dabble in all of them, right? Like, what do we say? Like master of none? Expert in all. I mean, you're a master, but
I get it.
You know what I'm saying? I feel like my job, I do everything. It's just jack of all trades.
Jack of all trades.
You are a master of all, but I feel like I'm not a master. So let's talk, more in terms of menopause and how integrative medicine can help women going through these wonderful stages of menopause.
It's so fascinating now because I remember 25 years ago, I did this lecture when I was really working on building my practice for women. And I sat down and we were in this circle. There was probably 12 people. And we were talking about unopposed estrogen. So unopposed estrogen means estrogen without progesterone. And there were some great research back then. Jonathan White, this man, his last name was Lee, and they were writing all these books. And so what came out back then was, oh my gosh, estrogen causes cancer. Nobody should be doing estrogen. So we're talking 25 years ago. So we're talking I was 27 or whatever that math is.
Nobody gives her
that
age.
math.
I was 19.
Okay. Exactly.
7.
And we knew in our community that you should be doing estrogen. Estrogen had a role. It had a role in young women. It had a role in where we're going into in our lives as women. And so does progesterone and so does testosterone. So we were giving these lectures that these were options in the integrative world that were beneficial to use. Well, come full circle now. It's amazing because you listen to, it's called the North American Menopause Society. So recently, so this is what I mean about
we
that
should have
integrated.
Yes. Ladies.
About that integrated. You know, for years and years and years, we said, we need to be taking estrogen. And we're like, no, causes cancer, doesn't have any benefit. Now, all of a sudden, after pushback and whatnot, they're saying, oh, I think we were wrong. Like, estrogen actually benefits in an amazing way, and we should all be on it. And so it prevents dementia, obviously has something to do with bone loss and hormonal changes and whatnot. But there's so many other things that it's benefiting. So now they're saying we should definitely be taking estrogen. But guess how they're saying it? Oh, with progesterone. Well, no kidding. Yeah, you make all those hormones. Why should you only take one?
I know, that's true. There's a plethora of them. Right?
Yes.
So, I mean, continue. I have so many questions.
But yeah, so now we're finally seeing that research come around. And research come around that says it's even safe in some cases, like with estrogen receptor positive breast cancer.
Oh, yeah.
Now, that's an arena you have to be really safe in, you have to be really comfortable treating. But for the practice that I have with the group of women I have, which is, I would say, in the top echelon of health, but then it becomes harder. What? Yes, lovely.
What?
Top echelon. Because you already don't eat candy bars.
No.
You already don't, have all these terrible habits that if
Maybe
a few. But there's practices where it says, all they have to say is stop drinking soda and don't eat candy bars and your patient gets better. That's an easy practice, right? Because
Sure.
they're so bad.
Okay.
But my patients are so healthy.
True.
They're already doing such a great job that now you're like having to find these finite little tweaks to really have them feel better.
Yeah.
And so that's what's fun about it. It's like a constant puzzle. It's always like a thinking process.
It's probably like a lot of research. I mean, you're
so
having to like
fun.
keep up on everything.
I'm such a geeko.
We were talking about mushrooms and
yes.
I mean, all that therapy behind it.
Journeys.
Yes, the journeys.
The journeys.
I mean, we are living in Denver, so Denver is very progressive in how we approach drugs.
Maybe we should do a podcast on mushrooms.
We should. Oh my God, that would be so fun. Hold on, they're in my drawer. Gotta let them kick it for a little bit, but we will do that at some point. But
make sure to tune in.
Yes, that'll be fun. We'll have a couple girls over. That'll be fun. I mean, that's awesome. Like, so I'm sure you have to do a ton of research, and I'm sure you're looking at different ways to address things. And like you said, it's all a piece of a puzzle. And like, yeah, diving in and kind of, I don't know how you do it because she's been a master worker for me and somebody that I like didn't think existed, because I'm sure like many of you women, we go out and we like seek help for one thing, and it's like what you talked about. It's one thing, and then they're like, you're healed. Like, okay.
Or we don't know the answers.
Or they don't know, and they're trying to like, dump medicine down your throat for something. Well, let's switch to another pillar and talk about mental, right? So obviously we know that menopause is an emotional roller coaster. I'm sure some of you more than others. I'm just getting into it, so I can just say like, buckle up, because it's been fun to live with me lately. So talk about like how we can look at mental clarity, right? Like what can we do to really help address some of these challenges that we're dealing with? We were talking a little bit too about dementia, but what would you tell people or women kind of going through like, I'm exhausted and I have no mental clarity and like I can't seem to like motivate? Like what are some of the things you would talk about and help address that? Keep your spirits high.
Keep your spirits high. Well, I tell them have great friends, have community.
Yes.
That's really important. But I always tell this story. So when I was first starting out in practice, I would every month meet with this woman. She was about 65 maybe, and she was a pharmacist. And we'd go to lunch because I'd take her to lunch because she was so smart. And I would just soak it up.
Absorb, yeah.
And I remember this one story, and she said, I wish I had known at 35 what I know at 65. She said, had I understood the hormonal journey, I would not be divorced right now. She said, I was crazy. She said, I can look back and say that because now I see who I am after my hormones have mellowed out. And she said, I literally drove my husband away. And she was so sad because she was knowledgeable and a pharmacist and she recognized it. And I have never forgotten that story. So when I hear, the pain of women coming in, like they had great marriages, great husbands, great kids, and it just feels lost. Or a lot of things, it's like, I'm losing my patience with my kids. I'm hollering at them all the time. Nobody really wants to be like that.
No,
and yet it
we
feels
don't.
completely out of control. Out of control. I used to say, have you ever seen where you're standing in a mirror in the front and a mirror in the back and you see yourself in that way last mirror? Have you ever been in a room like that?
God, it sounds like a house of horrors.
It
mirror.
It is if you're jacked up in menopause.
Or a mushroom.
Because there's just 1,000 of your faces.
I know. So yes, I know.
Okay.
I'm getting the visual, but I'm also terrified. Like thinking I'm gonna.
So it's almost like you see yourself way back here at the bottom, the last mirror, starting to be crazy, hollering at your kids. And even though you know it's coming at you, you don't know how to put the brakes on.
Yeah, you can't stop.
And then you feel bad. So looking at that, it isn't just shoving estrogen in or it's balancing the whole endocrine system. And one of the biggest researched things is starting young with adrenals. Mm-hmm. And we've talked a lot about adrenals. All the little stuff gets overlooked. So the endocrine system is really pituitary, thyroid, adrenals, and hormones.
Oh, why? Hormones are down there?
Well, ovaries.
Okay.
I mean, they're up there. They're up there.
They're the hormones. I really need to jumpstart that area.
Well, if someone's really good, they do get the horse to moan.
Oh, that's funny. Where are those guys or gals? Calling. Those people.
So it's all of that because the pituitary is like the engine, and it says make the precursors FSH and LH, which I think people have heard of when they see labs, or adrenal corticotropic hormone. All these things in words.
Did you hear that word?
All these things in words.
You're gonna have to Google that because I lost you. It's like talking to a doctor's like you're like, what the?
I just say them really fast to make them sound smart, but
it's good. That's how I'm gonna start making up words like flabbergasted.
People will go,
oh, she's
whoa.
smart. That's mental clarity. It's making up words.
That's right.
Gibberish.
But it's addressing those things instead of if a symptom comes up, thinking you just have to shove more in. Sometimes you have to do less.
Yeah.
Or clean up pathways. So I love your pillars because I try to think in pillars too. And it's from, balance, detox, restore. And sometimes the pillars aren't organized. Like you have to go,
right.
In different ways with them.
Yeah, they're not like building upon each other. They're all kind of coming at you in different ways, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. I mean, well, I think a lot of us women, right, like we are overwhelmed. Like a lot of us ties into not even like menopause, but I think, obviously menopause is what we're focusing on because we're in that stage of life and want to talk about this and address it and make the conversation a little more accessible and real and say we're all a community. We're a gaggle of gals, like wanting to, or queenagers, sorry.
Or queenagers.
My partner Dawn's going to be mad at me. She's like, not gals, we're queenagers.
Use the vernacular.
I know, use the vernacular. But let's talk about libido, right? Because I like most
it
of
happens.
Us. It happens. Yeah. I'm working so much. I've got that's who just interrupted. My 13-year-old daughter just was asking me about an outfit, so I'm texting her like, "Where the other one?"
Oh, that was pretty though.
It was pretty, but it wasn't.
Oh, tell her to come in here with the other one.
Okay,
let's see it.
All right. Well, I'll text her. But anyways, let's talk a little bit about like what we can do as women to like spice it up a bit.
Okay.
Right. I mean, it may be like what you're saying as a treatment, but are there other ways that you could just say like,
what's going on?
Yeah, like don't address it like a challenge. Like I don't know. I mean, obviously we're looking and talking to you for ways to like increase hormones and shutting things down and like I want to like you're talking to me and I keep on forgetting the name of like the light therapy, like the
the neurofeedback
that thing. So I bet that makes
awesome,
especially if there's hot pictures of guys like popping up.
We should put that on there.
I'm just telling. I'm giving her ideas. Like.
Absolutely.
So, moving forward,
Yes,
or like what
we could do other things.
Yes, we can do it all. Like, we're open to suggestions.
Yes,
Give us
suggestions.
suggestions. But how do you help
Deal
a
with
woman who's
libido.
sort of saying how do I deal with this in my life?
I think one of the things that I want to make sure we say is people start to take care of themselves at about 45 or 46 and 47.
I'm right on target.
It's 35.
I know. Well,
It's-
I'm actually
it gets-
35. Shocking.
Yes, that's what it is.
It is true. We need to start these conversations earlier. You're correct.
And so, if you hear this podcast from a friend of yours, jump on now if you're 35 and start to
or
really,
33. It's
or
not
33.
It's not like the magic number.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Maybe there is. I don't know.
I forgot our question.
Oh, we're talking about libido. See, it's so important to us. We're like, what?
What is that?
That thing? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you when it never goes away. It never goes away if you're single and you never get laid. And so
it's true because everything inspires you.
Yes,
that's true. So maybe the secret is a bunch of us single gals.
No, don't be single.
All right. Speaking of women, sexuality, libido. I know we talked a little bit about this, but let's revisit the subject and talk about how we can get those juices flowing for women. I mean,
Such
not
a
only
visual.
Yeah. I don't know how to make it. This is why you have to watch the podcast.
That's right. You can't exactly.
Little fish going. I don't know. These little swimmers. Well, amidst all of these fluctuating hormones,
Yes.
how can we tackle this issue of dryness?
Well, so libido, I think, falls into one category because there's
Just
so
one?
much just one. Because there's so much emotion with it, and there's so much taking care of everybody else and traveling, and then you come home and there's laundry or the house is dirty, there's dishes in the sink. For me, have you ever done those 5 love languages?
We've talked about it. It's like touch, acts of service.
Words of affirmation,
Yes, affirmation.
gift giving,
Oh, yeah.
and then quality time.
I always forget gift giving.
Gift
Why is
giving.
that in one of my top? That needs to be my top.
Top one.
Can we have more than one?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
But mine is acts of service.
Okay.
So if I come home and the dishes are done and the laundry's folded and
That gets
it sounds crazy.
That does sound
right?
crazy.
But it's just I don't have any other stress. I'm de-stressed.
Huh.
And they say men's stress goes down. Okay, so when 5 o'clock hits, men are like, whew, the day's over. When 5 o'clock hits for women,
That's when
especially, oh my God.
That's when we start stressing?
Their stress goes to another level. Well, how do you expect someone, even if we're talking clinically, and we're talking sympathetic, parasympathetic nervous system, if your stress goes gas pedal down at 5 o'clock, then sexuality and those feelings are parasympathetic. They're like restoration and yummy feelings and all those things. Well, if it's gas pedal down at 5 o'clock,
Yeah, there's no room for that.
there's no room for that.
That happiness, right?
Right. So do we have to create it for ourselves? Right? Because who doesn't like sex? I mean, I mean,
there's probably people out there, but I'm not one of them.
That's a drag. If you're out there, that's a drag.
You're not meeting the right partners, okay?
Right.
We'll start a community for people who need help, okay?
There's this weird one.
Oh.
We don't have to talk about
It's
it.
not the farmers one, the farmers looking for all these dating websites.
That's a good one. Farmers need to meet farmers.
Okay,
Right?
fine. Okay, yes, I'm happy for you farmers meeting farmers.
I mean, Italians should maybe meet Italians, or
I don't know. That's
Catholics
two
meet
fires.
Catholics. That's true.
Yeah.
Yes, that's true.
We'll figure out the dating websites
yes.
later.
Well, yes, exactly.
We were talking about
Love
if
languages.
you're when you
coming home.
5 o'clock you come home
okay.
and you're stressed.
So yeah. So
That's it. Hashtag that's it. That's all there is to say.
That's all there is to
Find
say.
somebody who makes you happy. On Farmers Loving Farmers. Just kidding.
That's a big piece of it.
Yes.
I do think building that connection is a big piece of it. And it's possibly going out on dates.
Yeah.
And having that time where kids are, I loved being with my kids, so it was pretty hard for me I took them on every vacation.
Yeah.
I liked it. There's not that many years, but possibly maybe it wasn't all that much wisdom.
Yeah.
But finding time for each other, because you can't possibly want to have sex if you don't even like the person that you're living with.
It's so true.
Right?
It's so true. It's like we force
Even
ourselves.
if they're awesome.
Yeah.
And so I think that's a piece of it. And then the hormone piece, like the vaginal dryness or even the desire, like that's testosterone.
Oh, right.
And women should be taking testosterone. Yes.
Let's talk about it, because I have a friend who's on the pellet, right?
Hate the pellets, but
right. So like some people have different thought processes about that. Some people are like, it's amazing, but like talk to me about testosterone. Like what helps? Why does it help?
So for men, it kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
Right. But even for men, there's different reasons. For women, it's muscle mass preservation. So you know how we age and you're thin or at the weight you want to be or not at the weight you want to be, but like that thigh stuff. Yeah.
Like my arm.
Mine too. I'm like, don't wave like that. Don't wave like this.
I could never be a queen.
Yeah.
Do more biceps.
But that preserves muscle mass.
Yeah.
So the only clinical reason that you can write right now to prescribe women testosterone is low libido, which is crazy.
Interesting.
Because it does a bunch of things.
Yeah.
And so, but it's muscle mass preservation. It's actually losing weight around the middle. It's, it's so many things. And then it's libido. And so it is noticeably different taking testosterone and increase libido.
Interesting.
Noticeably. I mean, think of guys.
Yeah, that's
true. Do they ever not want to have sex?
I mean, unless they don't have enough testosterone.
Testosterone, I guess that's true.
I mean, I think that's interesting because it works both ways. And
right, it works both ways.
I mean, some of the things you were talking about too, which I think of like, do you really want to have sex with this person, be intimate? But a lot of like how we feel it goes down to physical, right? So, and that's why there's this big movement of like wanting to feel better and look better.
Yeah.
And, I mean, again, we've always had this movement. This isn't shocking. Like, oh my God, I want to drop 5 pounds. But, like taking that physical pillar into account of like libido, right? Like how are you helping women in this journey? I mean, she's helped me tremendously. I'm probably down like 25 pounds and back to my normal weight. Yes. I mean, I'm so happy. I can fit into my clothes again. But like physicality is so important to how we feel, and how we feel helps us like project and like attract and like want
to show ourselves.
Yeah, show ourselves. Be out more in communities. Be out like date
That's
nights.
true.
Yeah.
Sometimes I wouldn't even want to go out when I was like, oh, I just don't feel good about myself.
Right. So how are you helping women address symptoms like inflammation and fatigue?
Flatulence, fatigue.
Flatulence and fatigue. That's my new favorite word. See, this is when I start sounding smart, because I'm making up words.
Exactly.
Skin stuff. I mean, like when menopause, right? Like a lot of women get skin. I can't. You just host the podcast right now. Okay. So let's talk about some physical elements and how we're addressing this.
So, one line that I love from a movie, it was that Eat, Love, Pray movie. And this is what we forget about ourselves, me included. I'm so crushing on myself. But remember when they're eating that pizza and the blonde says, oh my gosh, I can't have this pizza, my pants don't fit.
Yeah.
And Julia Roberts says, buy bigger pants. Has a guy ever, said, you know what?
Maybe some guy has.
Leave. I don't know.
No, I don't think so either.
Go ahead and leave.
I don't think so, yeah.
So one thing, we do have to appreciate ourselves, but I appreciate myself more when I feel the way I want to feel about myself.
Yes.
So that is the point of view that I like to come from. And I have my own weight journey, which was very challenging in high school and college, and just, all the mental stressors of thinking it had to be in control, of certain ways, and then using some of those not so positive ways to do that.
No dose. I don't know. Just saying. Not from experience.
Yes, just saying. And so there is, for me, in inflammation, a belief that eliminating certain things do then help with weight loss. And I do think there's a moderation phase as well. But what I say all the time is, women come in women come in and they're usually at a weight. It's called a set point.
Okay.
And by the way, I wrote a paper on this when I was junior in high school because I'm a geek.
That's amazing. She already knew what she was going to do as a junior in high school. That's amazing. Set weight.
Set weight. And so you go up 2 pounds, down 2 pounds, but you really stay in this no matter what you're doing. You cut out bad food for a while, or you eat something that isn't so healthy, or you have a cocktail. It doesn't really go outside of that 5 pound range. So the hardest part is eating really, really healthy and only losing 3 or 4 pounds.
So frustrating.
Then it's like, screw this.
Right.
I'm not doing this anymore. Why bother? So what I always say, which is a hard word to hear, and I've tried to come up with a different word, eating plan, but to change that set point, you have to do a diet, which is just an eating plan.
Right.
A diet is just an eating plan. And you have to do an eating plan. So then once you do that eating plan, and we do different ones, and I do really appreciate the semaglutide and the tirzepatide, which are the Ozempic and the Mounjaro. It has changed, not just weight. So all this like, what's it called? Hate.
Negative commentary.
It is, if they were looking at practices that are using it correctly, I've seen it lower inflammation for Crohn's disease.
Wow.
Seen it lower inflammation for just joint pain. So I am all in on it when it's done right. But taking an eating plan or a diet and using it for a short period of time, whatever that period of time is, it might be 4 weeks, it might be 6 weeks, it might be 6 months, but it's a definitive amount of time, getting to a goal weight and then learning how to reestablish that new set point. Now you go to Europe, you can stay at home, you can eat some gluten, or you can have a piece of pizza, or you can have a drink, but you know what happens when you go above 2 pounds, and that's what we teach. You just got to reset in that 2 pounds.
Reassess your set.
And that creates a lot of freedom, but also a lot of self-love and confidence.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I'm at the weight I want to be at.
Right.
And now I understand what causes inflammation. Sometimes it's not sleeping good. Sometimes it's working out too hard. I have patients.
That was me not raising my
I like that.
One was raising.
What? Don't raise.
No.
I'm going to do that in a lecture.
You should.
Everybody, don't raise your hand.
You're also doing the wave.
Exactly. Just don't do like...
Yeah. Or that's jazzercise. Maybe I'm working out too hard. I'm doing jazzercise.
But they'll work out like 2 or 3 times a day.
Oh, that's...
And they don't lose weight because
That's-
they're inflaming.
Yeah,
Like,
aggressive.
That is not good. What is the balance for our body? What makes you feel good about yourself so that you want to feel sexy or whatever it is? And then what's good for your overall health?
Yeah.
It's that balance. And I think the conversation gets lost in these goals
Yes.
instead of in this balance.
And unreachable. I mean, I think a lot of us as humans
Unreachable.
are very like, I'm going to get to 105 and run a
Yeah.
marathon
Yeah.
and have kids that go to every Ivy League college or whatever. Like, we're just kind of unrealistic sometimes.
And that's the hardest part.
Yeah.
I mean, I had to learn the hard way. I was like, blah, blah. And then I think back. I was thinking today. I thought, oh, my kids are going to go to this college and they're going to do this. Their journey's just different.
Totally. We
I
can't.
feel
we
a little
can't,
bit like a failure. But
yeah.
it
We
just-
can't be like failures. It is their journey.
It is.
We try the best
That's
we can.
hard.
I know. Life is hard, people. But
Yeah, momming is hard.
momming is hard. Yeah.
Momming is hard.
That's
I
a
love them so
whole
much.
other
I know,
thing.
that's
a whole
true.
other thing. Well,
Yeah.
we'll
That can sap your libido.
Yeah.
Momming can sap your libido.
We're not gonna have any more kids because no one's having sex. I think this has been great. I'm so appreciative that
I
you've been
love
on.
this. It's been really fun.
This is like my official.
You're
my
a rock
first
star at
official
hosting.
interview. Thank
I mean, you are one. It makes it very easy to just be in the
Aw,
moment.
Thank you. I
Yes.
loved having you. We'll have you on again.
Okay, I would love it.
Just, let's tell people how to get a hold of you because
Oh, sure.
I have it on my notes somewhere, but you're probably better. But I know you're on Instagram, you're on Facebook, you've got a website, you've got a phone number, so
1-800-HAVE-MORE-SEX.
.com.
No, it's Dr. Julie Marchiol, like the month March, IOL, and then AscentHealthCenter.com. And our office number is 303-343-8800. And we are great at text messaging.
They are.
So it's sad that that's the world we're in, but it's very easy to communicate that way. So.
And tell them that Hot Flash Health sent you there.
And Hot Flash Health sent us there.
I love
and
it.
Brought us here and
Yes.
we're able to reach you.
Yeah.
So I really appreciate the two of you. I think this is a phenomenal approach and idea.
Oh,
Very
good.
fun.
Thank you. Well,
Yes.
thanks everyone for joining. We'll see
Thank
you
you.
again soon, and we're off to drink some more tequila.
Bye.